We are so infinitely deep as human beings, and the deeper you go, the deeper you go. The inner darkness is a beautiful part of me, and there's nothing to fear about exploring it. I fell really in love with this inner darkness, and I'm just totally obsessed with this part of me. Welcome to the Modern Psychedelics podcast. Thank you so much for being here and choosing to spend some time with me today. I'm your host, Lana. This is the place where we explore how modern humans can work with psychedelics and plant medicine to engage more deeply with life. You can expect balanced and grounded conversations around therapeutic, spiritual, and recreational containers. All right, let's journey. Okay, I don't know about you, but I cannot stop hearing about kanna. It's a succulent plant medicine from South Africa. Kanna has been traditionally used by the indigenous Khoisan people for mood enhancement, stress relief, and spiritual practices. Kanna is an empathogen, so it helps us to emphasize feelings of connectedness, open-heartedness, and calm. Some call it nature's MDMA, and some consider it a psychedelic, though pharmacologically it's not a classic psychedelic. But the best part of kanna is that it's completely legal in North America and sold as a safe health product. I'm actually on a kanna microdose today as I record this, and I'm exploring it as a supportive tool to shift my energy from high summer energy to more relaxed, productive fall energy. So this protocol is all about slowing down and rebuilding supportive habits and connection to myself so that I can have more intentional days. Kanna can be consumed via chewing, smoking, or making tea, but for the modern person, an extract is an easy and reliable choice because extracts are the most potent, reliable, and convenient option. Kanna Extract Co. is leading the way in creating quality, potent extracts. Their cutting-edge extraction process ensures absolute purity and the precise alkaloid profiles. For you, this means unparalleled potency and the amazing felt effects. Kanna Extract Co. also ethically sources their products, which is so important to me, working with growers who uphold benefit sharing agreements with traditional knowledge keepers. Their benefit sharing agreements showcase a dedication not just to product quality, but also to preserving and supporting the Khoisan culture. I love that Kanna Extract Co. is transparent about quality. They provide third-party lab testing and credentials like FDA inspection and GMP certification. You can easily access these reports on their website. So join me and start your kanna journey today. Visit kannaextract.com and you can use Lana at checkout to save 10%. That's kannaextract.com, KANNA extract.com, and use Lana, LANA, at checkout to save 10% off your first order. You guys are going to love this medicine. Okay, back to the episode. Hello and welcome back. Today we are doing a solo episode. I haven't done one of these in quite a while, especially one where I'm sharing a trip report. So I'm really looking forward to this. I know that a lot of you really like these episodes. So let's get into it. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome to my couch setup where I have my little at-home studio set up. In this episode, I'm going to be sharing about my very first psychedelic assisted ego death and what I learned. And wow, I can't even believe that I'm recording this and sharing this story because this experience was completely unexpected. I was not seeking it out. And I think that this story is going to be very paradigm shifting for many people. I always imagine that ego deaths only happen when you're intentionally seeking it out. And like I said, I wasn't seeking it out, and yet everything somehow aligned to make it happen. Also, I was horrified of ego deaths before, which is probably why I never sought them out. But I learned throughout this experience that it was actually really beautiful, and I learned so much, and that there's actually nothing to be afraid of. And also, it's a little paradigm shifting because this story, this experience happened within a recreational container. It happened at a music festival, not a ceremonial one, not a clinical one. And yet I felt safe and held and had a very positive experience. Those are all the ways that I think that sharing this story is going to be just very insightful and paradigm shifting for people listening. So looking back, it definitely happened in the most perfect way. And it makes so much sense that my first loss of ego, loss of who I am, Lana Pribic, just happened in this way. And I want to tell you guys the whole story of how it fits together because, as you guys know, engaging with psychedelics is not just about the substance. It's truly about setting, preparation, integration, intentionality. And this story hits on all of those points. So this is my psychedelic love story. I fell in love with a very unexpected, very hidden, shoved down part of myself through this. And you guys have heard me talk before about how meaningful psychedelic experiences do not have boundaries around them. They can happen anywhere, in ceremony, in clinical settings, alone, in groups, and apparently at music festivals as well. So as long as we are safe, informed, intentional, smart, educated, all of these settings are valid. Some may have more risks associated with them and require more self-responsibility, but there are always precautions that we can take to manage risks. And that's why we have important conversations about psychoeducation and harm reduction. So however we choose to experience psychedelics, it's our responsibility to be safe, informed, intentional, and smart. So I already felt this way, but now I feel it even more after this powerful experience. And this experience in a recreational setting was, honestly, you guys, it was the most spiritual experience of my life. I have gone pretty deep with iboga. I have gone pretty deep with shipibo ayahuasca. This was something else. It's hard to compare them, but I see it as the most spiritual experience that I've had because it was the first time that I truly experienced a loss of who I am. So I just want to put a little disclaimer out there about substances. I'm not going to be going into the details of what substances I was taking, what psychedelics I was on. I'll just say that it was a good old festival cocktail, that I have done all of my research to check interactions between substances I plan to be consuming. And as always, my engagement was safe, intentional, informed, which is what I always encourage. And I actually don't think that the substances are very important as the story itself and the experience itself. So yeah, I'm not going to be getting into the details. I will mention one of the substances that I was working with at the time, which was DMT in the form of a vape pen. Now, this is a very low dose experience of DMT. It's not at all a breakthrough experience. It's very low. It's very chill, but I do think that it greatly impacted my experience here. I was taking small doses sporadically throughout the night that I'm going to be talking about in evening. It wasn't a breakthrough, but I do think that it was a major player in facilitating this experience. And obviously the story is being shared for entertainment purposes only, not to endorse or promote any type of experience that I'm explaining here. So yeah, let's get into it. So I attended a music festival called Harvest about a month ago in September. And it was my first time being back there in 4 years. This was a very special moment for me. My psychedelic roots are at Harvest. I had my first experience with LSD here. I did mushrooms for the first time and experienced a greater connectedness to the universe here. I quit smoking cigarettes here. I had just very special experiences here that kind of shaped me, and it's home, and I missed it very much. And I wasn't sure if it would feel like home anymore because I've changed a lot since the last time I was there. And as soon as I got there, I felt like I was home, and it was incredible. So before I even went to Harvest, I really reflected on what I wanted to get out of this festival experience. So this is that piece of intentionality. I had 3 points here. So I wanted to use it as an opportunity to reflect on just my growth, how far I've come in the 4 years since I've been at Harvest. And those 4 years really were my healing chapter, my healing journey. And I decided to reflect in a really unexpected way. I was just going to let myself be who I am today and just allow myself to be the today version of me. And number 2 was to rediscover and connect with everything about this festival that was meaningful to me. So I used to share this space with an ex. It was one of our things. And I really wanted to reconnect with it and remember all the things that made it special for me and things that were always my own and always between me and myself. So I wanted to, just reconnect with that. And then I wanted to do me. I made this promise to myself that I would do what I wanted. I wouldn't depend on anyone to make the experience for me, to make me happy, that I would only go to places and go to the stages or do the things that I wanted to do. And I invited my friends Ryan and Carolina to attend with me for the first time. We got tickets together. We were camping together, and I let them know this beforehand, which they were cool with because they're just great and, highly conscious and very independent. So they were totally okay with me doing that. So I camped with a huge group of amazing psychonauts and music lovers. And I had been building this beautiful friendship with Carolina and Ryan throughout the summer, which actually played a huge role in the way that my experience unfolded. They actually hold space for people to do ceremonies. So yeah, I was really excited to share Harvest with them. So I'm going to fast forward to the second evening because this is when it happened. And there's this stage at Harvest called the Pyramid. And yeah, it looks like a pyramid. It's yellow, shaped like a pyramid. And when you walk inside, there's just this like really raw, primal, elemental energy in there. The pyramid is like, it's my home. It's my original altar. There's this rock in the middle of the stage, like this just massive rock that they built the stage around. And there's something about it that just holds a lot of energy. And there's always bass music playing in there. And they have this incredible sound system called 40 Hertz there. And they play drum and bass and dubstep and just grime, things like that. That has always really spoken to me. And this is the place where I discovered that kind of music. But I never really understood what this music was expressing to me. And I'm sharing this with you because this is, again, a huge piece of my ego death experience. It was this music. But yeah, I feel like I'm like this pyramid zombie. It's only open on the Saturday night. And every time I've attended Harvest in the past, I've had to be there almost the entire night. It's just been a very primal and unexplainable experience for me. And before I started working with plant medicine, this was, like I said, the original altar, the original place where I felt some sort of really intense spiritual energy. So I knew that Saturday night was going to be really special for me because I would get to reconnect with this special place. So yeah, Saturday, everyone was like at camp or at the circus. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go do my thing. I got ready for the night. I put on this outfit that I actually sewed and created. I called it like my base ninja outfit. It's this like hooded scarf thing. And it's just fucking awesome. And I felt so epic in it. Put on my outfit. I actually went to a sacred altar that my friend Nadia created, and there was a mirror on the altar, and I just checked in with myself and was just like looking at myself and appreciating myself and just, yeah, I had to like reconnect with myself after all the craziness of sharing a festival space with thousands of other people. So before the night festivities began, this is really corny, but also I loved it. I went into the pyramid alone. There was no one in there. And I actually brought a flower to it and just reconnected with it and just touched the stone and just felt all the inexplainable energy in there and just had this like moment with myself to pray and set intentions and just focus in on what I'm creating in my life. And yeah, it was very special. And then, we got into the evening, the stage opened and I took my evening dosage. I went about my night. I was bopping in and out of the pyramid, but I was taking it really slow. I had eaten some food. I was like digesting and I was alone and I was cool with it. I was okay with it. I eventually ran into friends and was just having so much fun connecting and dancing and making memories, and there was just like so much joy and laughter and gosh, this feeling of savoring every single moment. Harvest is so special that, gosh, you're just so damn present for every single moment and everyone is on that energy. And there was just nowhere anyone else wanted to be. So I went to go take a break at some point, and there's all these amazing fires and it's September, and I was talking to this guy at the fire and we were having a conversation, and it was literally And people who go to music festivals, you'll know that this happens. It was literally the middle of our conversation and I interrupted him and I was like, I'm sorry, but I gotta go dance. Like, I gotta go dance. And I literally fucking just grabbed my stuff and ran to the pyramid. And man, I ran in there and the music was just like speaking to me so deeply. So like throughout the night, I'm really just following my energy. I'm being intentional. I'm being attuned to where my energy wants to go. And oh my God, I wanted to go to the music. So I got there. My friend Robbie was there. And pretty much from that point on, we stayed in there without leaving for hours on end, except for the occasional break to get air and water. And gosh, so this is really where it began. I started entering the portal of the music. It just kept getting better and better. So there was this local Toronto artist and he was playing this really amazing dubstep set. And just for my music people out there, UK dubstep, like deep dubstep, the really slowed down, deep, intense, highly spiritual, in my opinion, stuff, not the mainstream bro step, Skrillexy stuff. Yeah, I just want to help you guys understand like what the vibe was like. But gosh, he just was like playing his set and it just kept getting better. And when we thought it reached the peak, it just got better and better again. And I was like connecting with the set in a way that I've never connected to a set before. And pretty much nothing existed other than the music. And I got to a point where I couldn't talk to anyone. Like it was just the music and me and my friend who were just like losing our minds. And at one point I closed my eyes and I started just like entering this space of being lost in the music. And yeah, we thought this one set was like the best that it was going to get throughout the night. And then this other, again, local Toronto DJ called Spine came on and he just took it to another level. And I got like deeper and deeper into the portal. And I would close my eyes and I was aware that my body began to move in ways that it has never moved before. And I was also aware that I had no control over my body. It was moving in ways that I didn't even know I could move. It was so on beat. It was so expressive of the music and the vibe of the music. It was like hitting every intricate detail in the music. And then I started becoming the music. So for those of you who don't listen to like bass music or particularly dubstep, it's like deep and dark. It's not necessarily like heavy and intense in the way that you would think of that kind of heavy hitting Skrillexy dubstep. It's heavy and intense in a more subtle, sexy, kind of mysterious way. And I was just like dripping with this like deep, dark energy. And it was so primal. It felt like this like primal part of me was coming out. And it was in the pyramid where it is so primal. There's the rock, it's on grass, and the shape of the pyramid too, I think played a role in it. But man, at one point I remember when I consciously realized how deep I was dancing without even being able to control how I was moving, but I was moving in like this really wicked, beautiful way. But I would open my eyes and I would look at, I remember I looked at Robbie and I was like, I'm getting lost in the music. Like, I'm lost in the music. This has never happened to me before to this extent. Like it was a visual experience. It was a psychedelic experience. It was a emotional experience, but I was the music. And because I was the music, I was, I think, expressing the music through the dancing and movements of my body. It was very strange. And I'm a lifelong fan of music. I've always loved music and I've never gone this deep with it before. And never did I think that it would happen with freaking UK dubstep. Says Mrs. Househead over here. It was like I was so in sync with the music that there was no difference between who I was and who the music was. In other words, I lost sense of self. Like I lost a sense of myself. I was observing all of this happening, but it was in this totally neutral bird's eye perspective. And that awareness had no impact on what was happening. That awareness was not in control. It was simply awareness. I was the observer, but it didn't feel like me. It didn't feel like Lana Pribic as she is. It just simply felt like awareness. And it was almost like it was there just for the purpose of being able to recall and be present for this experience. That's what happened. And then, so as I was scripting out this episode for you guys, I Googled the definition of an ego death after I processed all of this. And this is what I came across. So an ego death is an experience in which you lose your sense of self by cultivating a deep sense of awareness. This is definitely what I felt was happening to me. And it was like, I lost my sense of self by becoming music, by becoming sound, and even deeper than that, by becoming this primal dark energy that was in the music. And it was so wild and it was so psychedelic. While this was all happening, there were moments of coming in and out of it where Robbie and I just looked, and just back up for a moment. My friend Robbie was like having this experience with me. I think I went deeper than he did because I was consuming those small amounts of the DMT throughout the day and evening. But like we were checking in with each other a little bit when I wasn't so lost. And we were like, oh my gosh, I think we're having like a bass awakening. Like I think we're having a dubstep awakening, and we would have to just like check in every now and then with our bodies because we realized how dehydrated and thirsty we were because we were just like dancing non-stop. And we had to be like, okay, time out. Like we need to step outside for a moment to like, get some air. Like I think the body is breaking down, and it just kept going. And so, okay, this is where the story gets really juicy. So here's my not so secret. The number one tool in my toolkit, the thing that has changed my life for the better the most, aside from psychedelics, of course, is not therapy. It's not breath work. It's not meditation. It's not even the yoga I've been doing for 15 years. It's coaching. Because coaching is the most actionable tool that I have come across. A few years ago, I fired my therapist and hired a coach, and working with a coach helped me start moving in the direction I wanted to move. And I finally stopped feeling stuck. I fell so in love with coaching, even though I wanted to become a therapist at that time. I decided instead to get trained and certified as a professional coach. As a psychedelics informed life coach, I work with people who are on the psychedelic path, which is probably you if you're listening to this podcast. The Global Coaching Client Study from the International Coaching Federation shows most clients who work with a professional coach report improved work performance, more growth and opportunities, greater self-confidence, enhanced relationships, more effective communication skills, better work and life balance, and an improvement in wellness. According to the same study, 99% of people who were polled said that they were somewhat or very satisfied with the overall coaching experience. Coaching works. I see similar results amongst my clients every week. You can actually read their beautiful in-depth testimonials on my website at modernpsychedelics.net. Along with being psychedelics informed, my style is process oriented. We live in this outcome obsessed world where our default mode is to live life for the destination or the end result. But I have come to understand that the gifts are actually in the journey, and that's where we grow and learn and enjoy life the most. So that's why I equip my clients with tools and skills for the long game of life and the long game of medicine work. I'm currently onboarding new one-on-one clients into my coaching practice. So if this sounds like it would be supportive for where you're at, get in touch with me. I would love to hear from you. And you can click on the link in the show notes or head to modernpsychedelics.net/coaching. There's lots of info there for you along with those testimonials. I can't wait to connect with you. That's modernpsychedelics.net/coaching. Okay, let's go back to the episode. I felt like so connected to the music, you guys, that I felt like I was making love to it. And it was making love back to me. I was like having sex with the music. That's how good it sounded. And then like my body expressing itself through the music also felt really good and was like just so, it made it so strongly connected to the experience of the sound. And then you guys, I've always heard of these musical orgasms, but I didn't really comprehend what they meant. I had a musical orgasm. Like I had a physiological orgasm listening and dancing to this music. Yeah, my body just had this explosion of bliss that felt like an orgasm. And I don't know if this has happened to any of you out there listening. If it has, please DM me. I would love to hear about your experience. But man, it was intense and it was really beautiful. As I was making love to the music, it was like I was making love to myself, but it was this dark side of myself. It was like this darkness inside of me. And it was really sexy and mysterious and dark. We think of darkness as really scary and something to be feared. It was not scary. Like I said, it was like mysterious and sexy and calling me in. So at the end of the night, the music stopped and I was absolutely devastated. I went up to the front of the like where the DJ was playing and I was like, no, you can't stop. Like you need to keep going. And I was just devastated that the music stopped. But eventually my friend Carolina and Ryan came over, and this is why I mentioned them at the beginning of the story. I actually fainted. My body collapsed to the ground and then I started panting and gasping for air. And I realized that it's because, I basically had just spent 3 or 4 hours just nonstop dancing with very occasional breaks for air and water. So basically, I just did the longest workout of my life. I literally left everything that I had on the dance floor. Like I've never gone this hard before with dancing. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. But it did lead me to fainting. And luckily Carolina and Ryan were there, and the festival ran out of water, which probably also played a role in the fainting. But they were able to go and find water for me. And they were just on the ground with me. And I think once the music stopped, I was coming back down to this 3D reality because the music kept me rooted in that dimension of the inner darkness and the base portal, let's call it, which is the portal for the inner darkness for me. So when the music stopped and it no longer was there, I had to come back down. And I remember I looked at Carolina and Ryan and I realized who they were. And I was like, wow, am I ever going to come back? Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to come back. And they were just there supporting me and helping me, which I'm so grateful for. And they got me water, and I was like, I think I need to go to a fire. And they had to basically grab my stuff because I couldn't, I couldn't grab my stuff and walk me to the fire. I needed help with walking. And as soon as we actually got to the fire, it didn't take very long for me to start coming back into my body and to just, remember who I was and to ground back to earth. And pretty much right away then and there, like I mentioned, Carolina works with people with high dose experiences, and she was there to help me integrate. And I started talking about it right away. And I realized that this experience for me was learning about a new layer of myself. I was discovering this new layer of myself. It was my inner darkness, and it was sexy, and it was dark, and it was mysterious, and it wasn't scary, and it was calling me in, and I was so curious about it. And it's really hard to describe, but it really was just this, it was this savage beast inside of me that now that I've had this experience, I do believe we all have this savage beast. It's probably the thing that leads people to do very crazy shit in the world if it's not integrated and if it's not accepted and seen. But it was like this part of me that was just wanting to like kind of like that's the noise that I made as I was integrating it with Carolina, the wobble of the bass. And you know what? The DJ that was playing while I was having the most intense part of this experience, he did post his set. So if any of you are curious about this type of dubstep, I'm going to post it in the show notes, but it's so like wobbly and the bass is just so captivating that it was like speaking to a part of my soul that hasn't been expressed or spoken to before. And I think that soul resonance, along with the psychedelics that I had consumed and just where I was in my personal journey and how intentionally I had approached this experience, I think all of that combined, it felt like these keys just kept unlocking for me to discover this new layer of myself. And honestly, I am so in love with this part of myself. And I'm going to share now what I've learned from this with you guys. So yeah, Carolina is very shamanic and she was there to help me integrate it. And like I said, she helped pulled out this. She was like, what was the bass trying to express? What was it saying to you? And I let out this like roar and it was like a rah. And I was like, oh yeah, it's my inner savage beast, right? That darkness. And what I've integrated about that is that the inner darkness is a beautiful part of me and that there's nothing to fear about exploring it. What I came to was that I fell really in love with this inner darkness and I'm just totally obsessed with this part of me. And it's almost like I met a new soulmate or something, but it was just a new part of myself. And I'm just, as a result, not afraid of the darkness anymore. And I get it. I understand it. And I understand that it's a part of me and that it's a part of this human experience and that this is the journey of wholeness, of becoming whole. I don't think that engaging with our inner darkness means that the result is something violent or aggressive or scary. What I'm learning is that engaging with my inner darkness is like just delicious. And there's so much to learn from it. And like I said, it's the process of becoming whole through self-discovery. We are so infinitely deep as human beings. And the deeper you go, the deeper you go. And I just have so much fun exploring all parts of me. And this is probably the deepest part of me that I've uncovered throughout my journey. And I'm just constantly blown away at the ability that psychedelics have to open up portals for self-discovery. It really is endless. And yeah, this was just so clearly another step, the next step along the journey for me. I don't think I would have really been ready for this until I did reach a place of self-acceptance of everything that I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been in a place to receive this inner darkness so beautifully. I would have judged it as bad or undesirable or scary or something to be resisted and feared. But I have really welcomed it in with open arms. I'm curious about it, right? And I'm curious about it because I'm solid in myself and I have nothing to fear about any part of myself that comes up. So yeah, that was the first thing. The second thing that I've taken away from this is that I have this primal instinct that has awakened. So that roar, it brought out this primal instinct, this savage beast within me. And I was just letting it out on the dance floor and expressing it on the dance floor. I wish I could have seen how I was moving. I wish I could recreate how I was moving, but it was something else. And I think what this part of me has to teach me is just, deeper acceptance of the savagery within me, which I am expressing through dance. I think it allows me to understand the savagery within humanity. And I think, especially with everything going on right now, there is some serious savagery being expressed in really horrific ways right now. And I don't think that denying that inner savagery is the answer, because it is a part of us. We are holographic human beings who contain everything within us. It's not about that. It's about the expression of it and the integration of it. And what we see in the world is such a horrific and unhealthy and unconscious integration of this part. Yeah, this is really deep. And I know when this episode started, I'm sure some of you are probably thinking, like, where could she possibly be going with this? Okay, music festival. But this is what I mean, guys. Psychedelic experiences have no boundaries around the space or the way that we choose to do them, so long as we are doing them intentionally with respect and in a safe way. We can gain profound insights about ourselves and human nature through these experiences. Yeah. Okay. So the last thing that I learned that I want to talk about is my musical journey and how it's evolving with me, and how that in itself is a reflection of my evolution. Like I said, I have been a music fan forever. I think really it started in my teenage years. I was a huge fan of indie rock and kind of like more emo music and just really emotive lyrics and things like that. But music has always been so important to me to understand what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. Like, music has always been that mirror for me. And since getting into electronic music, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, almost a decade ago, it's opened up even more opportunity for observation, because I find electronic music, especially when it's just beats and sounds and it doesn't have lyrics, you really need to engage with it more deeply and in a way where you just make a little more effort, because the meaning of it is not so inherent in the lyrics. It's more about understanding the energy and the vibration and the emotion behind the sound. And I have been a huge fan of house music and a huge fan of drum and bass music for many years. And I did not think that my musical, spiritual capstone experience would be with dubstep. I really did not think I would get there, but man, I really fucking love dubstep, and it is grimy and it is filthy and it is savage. And I love that I have this connection to it now that allows me to explore and express this inner darkness within me, because it does want to be explored. And this is such a beautiful and just expressive, healthy way to explore that part of me. And I'm so excited about it. So yeah, I'm just excited to explore more artists and sounds and just to see what I learn about myself through it. And I definitely didn't think that this would be the music that I would connect with over any other genre. I'm even getting into psytrance lately and psychedelic techno. And yeah, it's been so fun to watch my musical tastes evolve in parallel to my personal growth and spiritual journey. And they really are just reflective of each other. But who knew that music and connection to music could get you to the point of having a ego death and integrating your inner darkness. But this experience is reminding me to stay open-minded, to try new things, to be open to different sounds, different tastes, different perspectives, because you never know what you'll learn about yourself by exploring new things. Yeah, at the beginning of the episode, I said that there's so many reasons why this unexpected ego death makes sense. And yeah, I'll just go over that really quickly. So number one, my relationship to the pyramid stage and my intentionality going into the experience. I prepped my mind, my body. I connected with my spirit for this. And yeah, this place is just so deeply special to me. Number two, yeah, Carolina and Ryan, knowing that they were there made me feel safe. I knew in the back of my mind that these friends that I had been spending a lot of time with and building a beautiful relationship throughout the year were going to be there for me if anything happened. And they just have such a beautiful, caring nature to them. I just really trust them, especially Carolina. Like, she's my soul sister. So I knew that if anything were to happen and if I needed them, that they were going to be there. And guess what? I fainted and I needed water and they were there to help me. And I really appreciate them for that. Number three, Harvest is a very safe space where I feel very comfortable. It's my home. And that also made me feel safe. And so I felt safe to go that deep within myself in this particular space. Number four, the music. Of course, I lose myself in music, right? Like, of course, I had this ego death to music. I strongly connect to music, especially bassy electronic music. So I was just willing to literally surrender myself, to surrender my identity in lieu of becoming this other thing that I am so in love with, which is music. And it was so awesome to be music. Music's awesome. And number five, mentally, I was in a really good place, mentally, spiritually, and I knew that I wanted to use this weekend at Harvest to celebrate and honor how far I've come in the 4 years. I really did close so many loops before Harvest. So I felt like this was the start of a new cycle. And I also set boundaries for myself beforehand that I would savor every single moment and be so present and not do anything or be anywhere that I didn't want to be. So yeah, I followed my energy as a way of honoring myself. And I think that also granted me this beautiful experience. So, okay, I'm going to start closing this off here. So even preparing this episode for you has been an amazing form of integration for me. So thank you for listening and receiving and being a part of my process. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you being engaged with my sharing. And I hope that there was something in there for you, because I'm not sharing this to talk about myself. I'm sharing this to share, to inspire, to light a fire, to expand what is possible and what we think is possible for ourselves. So yeah, thank you for being a part of it. I would love to hear from you in my DMs or email if you have had a similar experience. If you're enjoying the show, please go ahead and leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That means so much to me. Send me a screenshot and I'll send you a copy of the integration journal that I've created. And lastly, for my loyal listeners, which is probably you if you've made it this far, I would love to get your feedback on how you are enjoying the show and what you would like to see going forward. We're going into the year 3 of the podcast, and I would love to just hear from you what you want more of, what you want less of, and any feedback that you have for me. I would love that. And if you want to go ahead and fill out that form, it's linked in the show notes. You'll be entered to win one of 2 coaching sessions with me. So there is going to be a little competition involved in that. So that's that. Let me know what you think of this whole experience. It is super wild and super psychedelic, and so is life. So with that, always remember to integrate your psychedelic experiences and do it in a way that feels right to you. I literally wrote out the script for this episode while smoking cannabis. And listening to the same music that I was listening to when this happened for me. And it was such a beautiful way to integrate this experience. So yeah, get creative, do what feels right, just get it out of you and find ways to take that experience and learn from it and integrate it, and yeah, just be with it and make it a part of you. All right, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for listening. I love you so much. Be safe and have a beautiful rest of the month of October. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to and supporting the show. To stay in touch, sign up for my mailing list, which can be found in the show notes or on modernpsychedelics.net. If this episode sparked something within, please let me know by leaving a review of the Modern Psychedelics podcast on Apple and Spotify. This really helps to share these messages with those who need them, which is the whole reason why I do what I do. And if you haven't already, come join the ongoing conversation over on Instagram with other beautiful souls. We have an incredible and conscious community over at the handle Modern Psychedelics. And don't forget that the work begins after you come back down to earth. And I'm standing shoulder to shoulder, doing it with you.